With the red, white, and blue, we can choose to hold on to our freedoms instead of giving them all to you. 'Cause with the red, white, and blue, we can choose to renew the principles of freedom and the standard of truth. With the red, white, and blue, choose principles of freedom and the standard of
truth. Hey, Lance Earl here. Today I'm going to do a review on some polymer magazines that are new to me. I think you might like them. But first, I want to tell you that I really wanted to do a good, solid review for this company. Now, it's not because I got a new Amend2 hat or, hey, check that out, a new t-shirt. No, those aren't reasons enough. It wasn't because I got some new magazines and, hey, pretty colors. That wasn't it either. I can't be bought, I won't be bought. The reason I wanted to is because our country is racing headlong into the abyss, and the states are going to have to choose. Illinois, California, New York, New Jersey, some of these ridiculous liberal states are going to choose to take away our guns, to take away our rights, to take away our religion. And we will see a time when literally states are standing on both sides of the Constitution, some defending it and some trying to destroy it. When that day comes, I want Idaho to be defending the Constitution, and I want the manufacturers of the very best things to be in Idaho. And that's why I wanted my review of the Amend2 mags to be solid. One of the things that is interesting about doing reviews is you have to be honest, and you can't make conclusions based on incomplete information, because when you do, your whoa, I knocked the mags over. When you do, your information will be false. And so I started out with these magazines. They sent me 5, and so one of the first things I like to check on a polymer magazine, because this is a place where polymer magazines often have a problem, and that is their ability to drop free from the lower receiver of an AR-15 when the magazine release button is pressed. Some of them hang up in there, and they're difficult to pull out. So I took the 5 magazines, and I loaded them into my AR lower one at a time, and 1 dropped, 2 dropped, 3 dropped, 4 dropped. I'm getting excited. It's passing the first test. 5th one hung up. Ugh. What in the world's happening? So like I said, you base your conclusions on complete information. So what I found is, and I don't know enough about ejection molding to know if I'm telling you the truth, but I think I am. There was one of those little plastic ridges. It was right here along the front of the case. Now, every one of the magazines had one, but the one that didn't drop free, that ridge was a little bit larger. And so I grabbed my pocket knife and flipped out the sharpest blade and just did a little trim cut right there. Just kind of shaved that ridge off, popped the magazine in, it dropped free. So there's the first gig I found, and that is an incredibly minor gig. So then the next thing I did was I popped them all in and made sure, and just did a function check on them, and I was very disappointed. I thought, oh no, I'm going to have to hate these magazines. Because what was occurring is in my lower, which is, this is a lower by Quality Arms out of Rigby, Idaho. And what I noticed, I hope I can describe this to you and that you can see enough to understand what I'm talking about. But when the magazine comes up through, or not the magazine, when the follower comes up, as the magazine runs empty, it lifts this slide catch. There's a little finger that runs forward right here. And as what I discovered was, as it started to lift, this slide catch would begin to wobble. And it wobbled a lot. And the higher the slide catch got, the more the wobble was exaggerated. And it would tip back and fall down the front of the follower and cause my bolt to not lock back. This was very, very disappointing to me, and I thought, oh man, if these won't work right, I can't give them a good review. But again, you don't make a commitment until you know all the facts. And so we started looking at other guns, and we tried these magazines in other AR-15s, and guess what? The only follower, or the only lower that had a problem was mine. Out came the calipers. Out came the calipers, and what I discovered is that the slot right here that the bolt catch rides up and down in my magazine, was 10 thousandths wider, larger than what I could find in any other mil-spec AR-15. It's my belief that my lower is out of spec. And because of that, it allowed my bolt catch to tip, and when it tipped, it caused the problems I just discussed, with the slide catch slipping off the front, or excuse me, the rear of the follower and causing my bolt to lock back. I also tried some other magazines. We threw in some PMags, and my bolt catch does work on PMags, but only by the smallest degree. It only catches the follower with a few thousandths of an inch. And so I believe that these are so close that I will see malfunctions with PMags, whether it be that the follower tips a little bit or what have you. But again, this isn't the fault of the Amend2 mags that we're reviewing today. It's not the fault of the PMag. And here's just a little aside for you. If you have an out-of-spec lower that's not accepting a lot of different magazines and it's failing to catch the follower, I also have some of these CAA mags. Now these are Israeli-made mags, and these magazine followers do extend back a little further, and my bolt catch was able to catch them with a very solid connection there. So if you have a gun that's having problems, you might consider the CAA mags. Now I'm going to do another tutorial here as soon as a part arrives, and I will show you how you can save an out-of-spec lower. But the best thing to do is get a good lower, and I'm disappointed that this Quality Arms lower is causing this problem. So let's move on to these magazines, because they are pretty cool. Like I said, in every other gun they ran fine. These magazines are awesome. They say Amend2 across the bottom here. Right here, this circular thing, now you probably won't be able to see that in camera, but that is a Minuteman. That is a patriot. That is a militia member. And if you know how much I love our founding fathers and America's history, you know that I love that. That's awesome. On the back it says, made in USA. But this isn't just made in USA. This is made in Idaho Falls, USA. And that's pretty cool stuff. They're right here local. So I took these guns out to the range. And the only way I could do it, of course, was I borrowed someone else's lower, popped it underneath my upper, and carried the gun to the range and shot. And I worked these magazines hard. I ran them at high speed. No failures. I ejected them one after another after another. They fell clean from the magazine well. I love that. I banged them up against things. I slammed them into the ground. I used them as a bipod shooting prone. I could not make the magazine fail, and I tried, and I got so frustrated trying to break the thing that I finally used the rifle as a hammer and beat that magazine into the top of a metal drum again and again and again. And when I was done abusing it, the magazine went right back to work, flawless, perfectly. Hey, I like these magazines. I like them a lot. I'm not going to tell you that they're better than the PMag. I think most of us would agree that when it comes to polymer magazines, PMag is kind of the standard. And I would lie to you if I told you that the Amend2 exceeded that standard. But I can tell you this. It's my opinion that the Amend2 magazine met that standard, that it is every bit as good and as strong and as durable and as usable as the famous PMag. So my recommendation to you, especially if you're from Idaho, buy Amend2 mags. Use Amend2 mags. Support our state, because the day may come, and the day almost certainly will come, when Idaho must stand alone. And when that day comes, I want great magazines being manufactured right here in Idaho so that we can defend freedoms whenever necessary. To Matt and to the other folks at Amend2, great job. I like what I saw. I like that I couldn't break it. I like that I couldn't make it fail. And I'm mad at you for pointing out that my lower needs to be replaced or repaired. I'm Lance Earl. I'll see you soon.
To hold on to our freedoms instead of giving them